Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Roberts with Visit Central Florida, and today's presenter is Josh Ray from Miles Partnership. He is our Google Program Specialist. Last week, we hosted a Google My Business Fundamentals class. And if you missed that or want to rewatch it, you can go to visitcentralflorida.org. And I've made it easy. So just do a regular website address and use a / and then type GMB, Google My Business. If you have any questions about these free training tools, send me an email or raise your hand at the end of this session.
Perfect. Thanks, Jessica. Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here today. As Jessica mentioned, today is going to be the second part of a Google kind of deep dive. We've talked about and talked through Google My Business Fundamentals, some steps for claiming your business, for really just kind of getting the bare minimum ready to go on your Google listing. And today what we're going to do is talk about a more maximized effort in terms of uploading photos, reviews, questions and answers, and analytics, and so much more. So we look forward to diving into today's presentation. We do want to thank the Visit Central Florida team for making this available to each and every one of you, whether you're attending the session live or you are watching a recording. To those that are attending live, if you have a question, you can go ahead and write it into the chat box. We're going to make sure that we have some time here at the end for questions and answers. On top of that, we do have time allotted for office hours. That's going to be time where you can schedule a 15-minute call with me or another representative from our team to essentially help you out with any questions you might have in regards to your Google listing, to maybe problems that you've experienced. Maybe you've tried to claim your listing and haven't been able to do that. We're here to help. And so we want to make sure that you get the help that you need so you can really utilize this free tool to its fullest potential. So schedule those office hours. I've got the link in the chat box. You can click on that link and that will take you to the scheduler. And I look forward to meeting with each of you individually there. As Jessica mentioned, my name is Josh Ray. I am the program specialist in Miles Partnership. My role kind of fits into two main buckets. One is education, teaching, and training. And that's exactly what I'm here doing with all of you today. And the other is content creation. So I actually got to spend some time with the Visit Central Florida team. It was about a year and a half ago, actually now, where we went around and shot a bunch of Google Maps photos and created some content to really kind of fill some gaps where there was gaps for photos for specific hotspots throughout the county there. So a great time, had a great time out there, and looking forward to hanging out with each and every one of you this morning. So again, just a reminder for office hours, the link is here, but I made it easier and included the link in the chat box. You can just click on that in there to schedule a time for help in terms of your business profile. Just quick overview in case you're just joining us on this session and missed the last one. One of the things that we do at Miles Partnership is provide destination support. And so we've actually worked with more than 200 destinations for this program, on this program. And from that, we've audited more than 60,000 business profiles. We also directly manage more than 75 business profiles. So we take kind of all of the findings and the research that we've done and have figured out what are the top performing business profiles doing. What are they doing to rank higher? How are more and more people finding those businesses? And we're going to share those best practices with you today, just like we did with the previous presentation. Right now, confidence is critical and safety is at the top of mind for today's travelers. They're looking for information so they can travel safely. They want to know that the businesses or the hotels or the restaurants that they're going to visit while traveling or en route are taking COVID-19 seriously and that they are adhering to the local guidelines. And one of the ways that you can do that and you can inspire confidence in your travelers is by sharing updates about what your business is doing to respond to COVID-19. And so we'll look at some different opportunities within your Google My Business profile, but it doesn't really only stop there. You can utilize a number of other tools if you're on Facebook or even your own website. Share updates about how your business is responding. And that way, as travelers are looking for information about your business, they'll then see how it is that you're responding to COVID-19. This is what our agenda is going to look like today. We'll do a quick little recap from part 1, and then we'll dive right into the meat of it with responding to reviews, messaging, questions and answers. Contents, we'll talk pretty heavily on uploading photos, flagging photos, and then taking an even more detailed approach and capturing 360 photos to upload to your listing, and then getting into posts and your analytics through insights data. So just as a little refresher here, business profiles aggregate everything Google knows about your business into one card. And a business profile essentially is a mini website for your business. It's Google's approach at streamlining the customer journey. So if you haven't looked at your business profile, again, if you're just joining us for this session here, you can just go to Google search or go to Google Maps to pull up your business profile. Once you do that, you'll notice that pretty much the content, if you were to compare it from Google Maps to Google search, the content there is actually pretty similar. There are some differences in some conversations and specifically questions and answers that show only on Google search and not on Google Maps, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And it's likely what we found that business profiles make up for the largest source of organic exposure or impressions for a business online. So from all those businesses that we've audited, this has been the case time and time again, and it might be the case for your business. So therefore, kind of focusing in on your Google My Business presence is going to be really important for you, because if the majority of people out there online are getting information about your business, not from your website, not from your social channels, but from your Google listing, you want to make sure that your information is correct, consistent, and up to date. So here's our optimization checklist from the previous presentation, and that is, have you claimed your business and verified it? Do you have the GMB app so you can respond to reviews on the go, upload photos on the go, and really manage your listing from wherever you're at? Has your business name been added correctly and spelled correctly? Phone numbers, address, website, hours, description, and then other opportunities to expand your information. And this comes into play with that relevance factor of how people are finding you. And this comes from your service areas that you're selecting, the category that you have applied to your business, and the additional categories, as well as attributes, menus, services, and products. By selecting those different features and utilizing those for your listing, more and more people will be able to find you. So make sure that you are taking that extra step and adding in all of those expanded information options. So during the last call, we talked about distance and relevance being a factor in how your business profile shows or results in Google search and in Google Maps. So depending on where your business is physically located and the relevance of that listing will come into play with the specific search terms that somebody's typing into either Google search or Google Maps. All right, so we talked about those two factors and what you can do to kind of play along with that process. Today, we're going to talk about the prominence factor, and that is what your business is specifically known for. What are people saying about your business? What are the online conversations happening around your business? All right, so having a better business profile, taking all the efforts to apply all the features that we're going to talk through today should help lead to more engagement to your business profile. And the goal is really to help you maximize exposures and engagement, because it helps everyone involved. It helps your business with more impressions, hopefully leads to more conversions hopefully leads to more visitation to your business and more spend. Helps the visitor. They're able to get the information that they're critically looking for during their travels and planning travel. And then it helps your destination. So it really just kind of ramps up to rising tide raises all ships. And so if all businesses within Central Florida took this effort on and amplified or optimized their business profile presence, it would greatly impact the overall destination perception for Central Florida. So getting into ratings, reviews, and replies. So reviews are one of the most critical pieces of information and content within your business profile. They are posted by users directly to the profile, and they appear wherever your business profile appears, and are also the source of your star rating. So reviews show on your Google listing or your Google business profile within Google search, as well as Google Maps. All right. And some really interesting information here provided by Bright Local. This is from their consumer review survey. They release a new survey every year, and there's always some pretty incredible findings with it. If you're ever interested in reading more about consumer reviews, you can click the link at the bottom once you receive the PDF to this presentation. But from the review survey shows that 86% of consumers read reviews for local businesses, which is not that much of a shock. As we know, majority of people, probably you and me, we all use reviews to make decisions when trying to figure out if we are going to visit a business. 57% of consumers will only use a business if it has 4 or more stars. So this is basically saying the majority of people are only going to use a business or only going to visit a business that has 4 or more stars, which are, I'm definitely guilty of this, especially when it comes to lodging properties or sushi restaurants. I want to see 4 or more stars. I want to see majority of those reviews be really positive, and rather than the opposite before I visit that business. And this one you might have thought about, but you probably didn't know how severe it was or how important it was to your listing. And that is that 89% of consumers read businesses' responses to reviews. And so the majority of people out there, majority of consumers that are reading reviews are also looking to see if the owner or the manager or a representative from your business is responding to all of the reviews. And we'll get into kind of why that's important, but hopefully the main takeaway that you get from this is that it is worthwhile responding to reviews, because people want to see how you're staying engaged, how you're responding to a positive and definitely a negative review. Are you acknowledging people's compliments as well as their critical feedback? So people want to see that you're engaged. Make sure that you're building time to respond to reviews. By responding to reviews, that should hopefully also encourage more and more people to leave reviews. Okay. So again, here's where we're going to talk about that prominence factor. So what are people saying about your business and how are they talking about it via reviews and questions and answers and more? All right, so earlier in the presentation from last week, the fundamentals presentation, we talked about how the local pack kind of comes into play, which is the top 3 search results within Google search, and what are the main ranking signals or ranking factors for how a business profile does appear in those top 3 search results or the local pack. And having a complete Google My Business profile was the #1 thing that you can do to help your ranking for your listing. Now, the second best thing that you can do is to focus on your review signals, which you'll see here, or your reviews. So responding to reviews and driving or encouraging more and more reviews is really helpful in how your business profile ranks and can make the difference between you or a competitor outranking each other in those top 3 results. So first, have a complete business profile. Make sure you're using all of the steps that we discussed in the fundamentals presentation. And then the next thing that we recommend doing is really kind of focusing on driving traffic to your review page and having more and more people leave positive reviews on your listing. What we found from our audit process was that 81% of the reviews were 4.0 or higher, which means almost the majority of all of the reviews that are being posted on listings are positive. And the median rating across all of those 62,000 profiles was 4.4, which means the competition gets really stiff between 4.4 and 5. And so if you're kind of hovering that 4.2, 4.3 space, there might be a competitor, another business that kind of lives in that 4.4, 4.5 rating space. And that can mean the difference between their business showing up in the search and yours not, or their business showing higher in a search result and yours showing lower. So what we're going to talk about now is your rating vector. So getting an idea of, how are you rating, in which kind of your trajectory is your rating soon to be going up, or is it soon to be going down? And so it's a good idea to kind of watch that and make sure you have an understanding of kind of the current status of your rating, despite how it's showing publicly in Google My Business. So if your current rating shows at 4.4, take the last 15 reviews and calculate the average of those. If it shows at a 4.53, that means that your rating vector should be going up, which is a good place to be. You want that number to be either staying where it's at if you're at 4.4 or higher, or on the rise. If you notice your rating vector being lower than your current average rating, you want to do everything in your power to get negative reviews removed, to flag those, as well as to encourage more positive reviews from your listing. Okay, so now responding to reviews. One of the first things in seeing success in responding to reviews is to know when they're first posted. That way you can respond to them in as close to real time as possible. So what you can do is go to your Google My Business dashboard and select the settings tab on the left-hand side and turn on that box for customer reviews. While you're in there, I'll also recommend to turn on the box for questions and answers, and we'll get into why that's important here in a minute. Some best practices, some tips for that, in responding to reviews provided by Google. They basically ask to or recommend to ignore minor complaints, address issues constructively, don't use responses to advertise, don't offer users anything, and then be professional and polite. And then I like to add kind of the final little piece, but be personal. Acknowledge something specific or detail in their review. Thank them for leaving a review on your site. And then when you're closing, give your name and your title and the name of the business when responding to a positive review. If you are responding to a negative review, let's say it's like a 2-star or a 3-star or a 1-star, keep the response to that review short and encourage that they contact you offline. And the reason for encouraging them to contact you offline is so that you don't get into a back and forth online battle within your review page. The goal with contacting you offline is that you're able to resolve the issue over the phone. No one needs to watch it because, as we saw earlier, 89% of customers are reading businesses' responses to reviews. And you can bet that they're going to want to read your response to, let's say, a negative 1-star review to see how you handle it. And so the best thing for you is to acknowledge it. Don't ignore that negative review, because essentially by ignoring it, it shows that you don't care, not only to the person that wrote the review, but to the other people that are curious about your response. Okay, so if they see a negative review come in weeks ago and there's no response, it shows that that person that wrote the review that you don't care, as well as those that are looking for your responses. Okay, so respond to negative reviews, keep it short, encourage them to contact you offline, and try to resolve it over the phone. If you are able to resolve it, ask them to remove the review. If they don't, you can flag as inappropriate for those reasons or for other opportunities to remove specific reviews on your listing so they're not negatively impacting your rating score. And so some of those flag options would be spam or fake content, off-topic, restricted content, illegal content, and so much more. Impersonation also could be somebody writing a review on behalf of somebody else. So my sister had the worst steak ever at that restaurant would be a great opportunity to flag that review, because we don't care about your sister's experience. We want to hear about your experience. So you can flag any reviews that might kind of align with that on your listing if you have those. And then conflict of interest is another pretty popular opportunity to flag reviews. Once you've flagged a review, you will receive a window like this from Google, basically letting you know, hey, due to high demand, expect delays in our processing of your flag and requests. Please don't flag the same review twice. Only reviews that violate Google's content policy can be reported. And so they're just going to ask you not to flag the review twice. And you might notice that nothing actually happened after flagging the review. And so what we did is made it a little bit easier for you to get to the Google My Business help team by going to bit.ly, so bit.ly/G, capital M, capital B, capital G, lowercase o. That will take you directly to the support box, and then you can talk with a support representative to hopefully have the negative review removed. And this is kind of a more direct route to go about that, rather than just kind of waiting for Google to remove it after you flag the review. So be sure to utilize that. If you have gone through and flagged a bunch of reviews and nothing has happened, the next step would be to go to Google support, especially if those reviews are explicit or kind of more on the intense side of the spectrum and need to be removed because you don't want those negatively impacting visitation to your business. So now getting into some tips for encouraging positive reviews. Based on that consumer reviews survey that we were looking at earlier, Bright Local shows that the most common way for encouraging or asking your guests, your patrons, to leave a review on your site would be in person during the sale, and then in email. And so in person during the sale could look like asking them at the point of sale to thank them for coming to your business, and if they had a great time, if they wouldn't mind sharing their experience on Google My Business. And so we'll get into some ways that you can kind of share a link so they can directly go to your listing. But that is the top way to ask for a review. And I think people are less and less more surprised by being asked for that. I think with that, majority of us consumers are used, and we use and utilize Google My Business reviews and other review sites to make decisions. And so we understand the value of a review, especially a detailed review. And so I think it's becoming less and less awkward or taboo to ask a customer to leave a review. So maybe that's something you kind of train your staff on. If there's any signals, like somebody says something in your restaurant that says, hey, this is the best meal I've had in years, or this is the best steak I've ever had, those would be signals to then ask that person to leave a review about their experience. Okay. One of the recommendations for or opportunities here that you can kind of utilize to drive traffic to not only your Google My Business profile, but also your review page, is by setting up a short name for your business. Now, this is a short name that has to be based off of your business, either your name, existing branding. You want it to be as short as possible and as memorable as well. Once you've created that short name, you can then use one of these two links. The first one here, g.page.com or / your short name, will take people directly to your Google My Business profile. G.page / your short name / review will then take people directly to your review site. And this is extremely helpful because the internet is very distracting. And so if you were to ask me as a customer to leave a review on your Google My Business profile, I might eventually get there. But if I go to Google, type the name of your business, I might become very distracted by some pop-up, by some other result in the search. I might check my Facebook. I'll probably open up my phone and look at Instagram. And I might eventually get down to reviewing you. But by not taking me directly to the tool to build or craft a review for your listing, I might also get distracted enough to not leave a review. And so this is beneficial because if you use this link, this will take people directly to leaving a star rating and to leave a review on your Google Business profile. So you can then push this out on your social media channels, your email newsletters. I've seen some cases where business owners have put it underneath their signature within their email. So there's a bunch of different kind of creative ways you can share this link here. But once you've created that short name, it'll be g.page / whatever your new short name is, and then your / review. And you can include that on receipts, create a QR code for that specifically so people can scan that and get taken directly to your review page. So that's one of the recommendations we have for you to drive traffic to more and more reviews being created for your listing. Another is to request one of the Review Us on Google stickers to then stick on your door and be a little subtle reminder for people to leave a review as they're exiting your business and see that sticker on your door. Beyond just the sticker there, you can also download social media posts and posters for your business. And some of those posters are specific to kind of COVID-19 and how your business is responding and maybe what has changed in terms of operations. So if you want to kind of share more updates about your business, see what some of those opportunities and resources look like within the marketing kit, and go ahead and utilize them to your benefit there. All right. So communicating directly with customers via the messaging tool. Now, this is a mobile-only tool inside of Google My Business, and this is where you'll have to have the GMB app in order to utilize messaging. You might see the messaging tool or button in your dashboard online if you're using your computer, but as soon as you click on that, Google My Business will prompt you to open the app to then set up messaging. But what this allows is for direct messaging, this is private messaging between you and customers. They're able to contact you directly and ask questions via the messaging tool. And the only way they can do that is if you've turned it on and set it up within your business listing. So go to the app, click turn on messaging. It's going to be underneath that customers tab there. And then you can set up your welcome message. Hey, how can I help you today? Or hey, thanks for the message. What can we help you with? And then once you click save, you have now set up messaging. And when people see or your business on Google My Business, they're able to then click that messaging contact tool and then or down here and open up a direct message between your business and them. So this is just another extension of communication or opportunity for communication from your Google listing beyond reviews and beyond questions and answers. So my first recommendation is to turn it on, see if people use it. I've never heard a case where any businesses have turned this on and it's been too much of a hassle because they get too many messages. I think really the main benefit that you're going to see from this is that you have utilized kind of all of the tools available to you, which Google will recognize as you kind of being a top participant in using their product. And so that should help your listing. So just go ahead and turn it on, and don't forget to check your messages from time to time to see if there's anything in there worth responding to. And that brings us to some best practices and really just making sure that you have a point person who is responsible to responding to your questions that come in through messages, and that they're doing so in as close to real time as possible. It doesn't mean that that person has to be on 24/7, but you do want those messages getting answered as quickly as possible. You don't want it to go multiple days without a response, okay? Also, you can have multiple people logged in to answer questions, but it's important to have a point person who's responsible for that. That way, there's a bit of accountability there. And then conversations aren't public, so these are private, but it also doesn't mean that it'd be okay for you to talk down to a patron or engage with a negative conversation, back and forth battle within messages, because that customer or patron can screenshot you and then blast you on some other social channel or online channel about your business. So you don't want that. Remember, keep it positive. You want to make sure that your business is tied to positive messaging and you're engaging with positive conversation rather than negativity. There's already enough negativity out there online. You don't want your business being a part of more of it. So now getting into questions and answers. This is a really interesting part of Google My Business. And I say interesting because it doesn't live within Google My Business, meaning there's not a specific tab for you to click on to engage with questions when they get asked on your listing. The only way to engage with them is to turn on that notification like we saw earlier. You'll get an email notification letting you know that a question has been asked, but you'll have to go directly to your business profile inside of Google search in order to respond. And that's the only place that you can respond to or ask a question on your listing. And that is inside of Google My Business or inside the business profile in Google search. So if you go to your business profile on Google Maps, there's no questions and answers shown there, only on Google search. So it kind of lives in one specific area inside of Google My Business. And now we're going to talk about local guides and kind of how they play a role in the bigger scheme of things on Google My Business, especially in questions and answers. But as you see here, these are a bunch of different prompts that Google is utilizing local guides to kind of fill the gaps for. So maybe it's some information, maybe it's what photo to show or rank higher. And these are some different prompts or questions that Google is going to ask a local guide based on their visit to a business. Every contribution that a local guide makes accounts for points. And it's just, like I said, an opportunity for Google to fill in gaps and to make the content better by utilizing this massive community of people online via the local guide program. So I don't know if you're a local guide. I would recommend kind of partaking in it. It's just a cool way to give back to your community, as well as to kind of have some fun when traveling. And the more photos and more reviews and more contributions that you make, the higher your score will be. So I think I'm at like a level 6 local guide right now. And the goal is to get to level 10 by next year. And so that just means uploading more and more reviews, uploading photos more frequently, and editing information when I can. So going back to the questions and answers tool, typically the conversations that happen within questions and answers on your listing happen by local guides. And so you'll have someone who asks a question, and then Google might prompt a local guide that visited your business to respond to the question, or people might just see that on your listing and then feel like they can respond with the information they have. Sometimes the response is helpful. Sometimes the question is helpful. Other times the question doesn't make any sense and the response makes even worse sense. So it's worthwhile going in there and flagging questions and answers as well for removal. But sometimes there's also legitimate questions that need to be addressed by the business owner. And this is where you kind of come into play. And like I said, these are just some examples here of some of the crazy questions and answers that we've seen. This is specific to the Statue of Liberty. And I think my favorite one is, what's the history of the Statue of Liberty, and did a panda make it? Which I don't know. I have no idea. I've never seen any photos of a panda making it, but maybe. And going back here, the response from one of these local guides is basically like, hey, just access the website. There's many informations there, which this is, again, it's just an example of something you can kind of ignore. You can flag it, or you could respond to it if you know whether or not a panda made the Statue of Liberty. So if you didn't know that questions and answers were even a thing, that they happened on your listing, that's okay, because majority of the businesses that we've audited weren't responding to questions either. So hopefully moving forward, you turn on the notifications for that so that you can respond to questions and answers when they get posted to your listing. So what we found is that 95% of the audited listings that we reviewed had questions from customers, and less than 15% had answers from the actual business owner. So as a reminder, go back to settings in Google My Business and turn on the notifications for questions and answers. That way you'll be alerted when a question gets asked. And that alert will just basically come in as an email to your Google or to your Gmail account, and it will show like this. Once you click on reply now, Google will take you directly to the response here. And one of the benefits to responding as the owner is it will show that you're responding as the owner. And this is kind of one of the ways to add a bit more credibility to the response. And so people will be able to go in and see that you're responding, that you're playing a role in engaging with questions and answers, and that if they ever have a question, they ask it on your listing, that they're likely to get a response from you. If there are some questions and answers, and which I'm sure there are for your business, that are just out of the ordinary in a weird way, you can go ahead and flag those. Or if there's anything that's off topic, no longer applies. If it's advertising or spam, hate, violent, or inappropriate, incorrect information, or something else, once you click on flag, my experience has been that those automatically just get removed. Rather than when you flag a review, it can take days, sometimes even weeks, for a review to be removed or to just rank lower. So Google might be like, well, it's not an offensive review and it is about the business and it's legit, but there are some issues with it. So they're going to rank it lower, which means it'll just show lower in the results for reviews on your profile. One of our advanced tips here for questions and answers, so this is kind of taking it to the next level, would be to take your FAQs from your website. So if you have an FAQ page, you can post your question and then answer it on your Google listing. And so you'll just go to your profile inside of Google search, click ask a question. Once you click on ask a question, type out or paste the question from your website, click post, go back to see all questions, find your new question that you just asked, and then respond to it. So it'll be asked and responded to by you, but it's just a way to expand the information on your listing and to utilize your FAQ page and hopefully answer any questions, future questions that people might have in regards to your business. So now getting into your visual representation. So your photos, videos, and 360s. What are people perceiving about your business? What story are you telling? And are you encouraging more and more people to visit your business based on the content that shows? Listings with quality photos are twice as likely to generate engagement with customers. And I know for me, it's the second thing I turn to make a decision when visiting a business. And that is, my first step is to look at the ratings and reviews. And the second is to then go in and look at the photos so I can kind of get an idea of what I'll expect when walking in the door. What does the restaurant look like? What are the seating options? How's the bar? What kind of bottles are on the bar? What's the pool look like? How's the view from the pool or from the rooms? Those are all opportunities to share kind of your full story about your business that people are essentially kind of looking for when clicking on the photos for your listing. And what happens is the majority of views on the photos inside of your listing actually come from the business owners, even though the majority of photos might be uploaded by users. So that's kind of what we found to be true during our audit process, is that even if you've only uploaded 10 photos and other people have uploaded 100 photos on your listing, your 10 photos are probably going to account for the majority of reviews within your listing. So that should hopefully encourage you to upload more and more photos frequently to your listing, and making sure that you fill in any content gaps that might not really, where you're maybe not telling the full story of your business. So the first tip here is to upload photos frequently. Hopefully one of the main takeaways here is that you upload a couple photos every month, and that might look like 4 to 5 photos per month to see a 10 to 30% lift in exposures for your business, which is a pretty solid number there for a limited amount of work. And that could just be using your smartphone to shoot some new exterior photos and new interior photos or product photos or experiential photos for your listing. You don't always need to hire a professional photographer to upload photos to your listing. Like I said, you could use your smartphone, whether it be an iPhone or an Android. Now getting into some more best practices here for shooting photos that kind of tell the full story of your business. So first, you want to make sure that the photo is informative that you're capturing. Put yourself in the visitor's shoe. What do they want to know, see, or experience when looking at the photos of your business? And then obviously you want to make sure that you shoot those photos in a way that it's an attractively shot image or edited image. And is it eye-catching? Does it encourage a click? So that could be the colors and how you kind of compose the image and frame it within whether you're using your phone or a proper camera. And then representative. So you want that image to represent what your business typically looks like. What will someone typically experience when visiting your business? And therefore, that might mean avoiding shooting photos during specific events and seasons. Just like we're in right now with all the holiday decorations, you might want to avoid capturing photos during this time, since that's not what your business looks like year round. So we have a great example here of a good photo versus a not so good photo. The photo off the left is informative, it's attractive, it's easy to understand where it was taken and what you're looking at. It's got bright colors and it's really an attractively shot image. Whereas the photo off to the right is not so great. It kind of looks like something straight out of a zombie film. The kilter or the horizon's off kilter, the colors are muddy, and it's not really informative at all unless you zoom in and look at the water tower here. So try to avoid shooting photos like this. If there are any photos on your listing that look like this, that would be a great opportunity to flag for removal due to poor quality. And shooting good photos is not only good for telling the full story, but also for the amount of impressions that the photo is going to bring in. And so we get an example of that here by these two different photos that were actually captured pretty much at the same time of the same dish, edited and composed a little bit differently. And as you can see, this photo, it's a bit more bright, more appealing to the eye, resulted in 10 times the amount of views versus this photo of just kind of like dead fish. That doesn't necessarily get me all too excited about going to lunch there. So try to make sure that you're limiting your edits. Don't go too crazy in the coloring and exposure and everything, but shoot your images in a way that they're a bit more attractive than than not. You want to make sure you put a little effort in making sure that your photos are best representing your business and really exciting people about visiting your business. So some best practices here for uploading high quality images to your listing is, first, make sure that you are only uploading photos you're allowed to. So did you create it? Do you own the rights to it? You don't want to get into any trouble uploading random people's photos on your listing. Try to upload the highest quality photos that you can, highest resolution. Most of our smartphones are capable of shooting at least 4K. So try to make sure that your photos are of higher resolution so that they're, filling up the entire photo window inside of Google My Business. Don't use filters. So if you're going to upload photos to your Google listing, don't use filtering like VSCO or another photo filter app. Try to limit your edits really to just brightness, contrast, and saturation. And then avoid seasonal images. So this goes back to kind of the seasonal point I mentioned earlier, where right now might not be the best time to shoot photos due to the nature of all the holiday decorations. So you might want to wait till after all of that to then capture images that will best represent what your business looks like year round. Some additional tips here, keep those lines straight. So your horizon lines and your vertical lines, you don't want people looking at your photos like this, or else they'll get a kink in their neck. And then shoot mostly horizontal images. So landscape over portrait. Those typically get more views than a vertically shot image, and the products or how Google shows your image, it actually looks better and uses a horizon image better than a vertical or portrait image. And then the last tip here is to try to avoid photos with people's faces in them, unless you have release forms or have the okay from that. And then make sure there's a healthy balance of interiors without people in general. So another thing that we found to be pretty common is that the majority of photo views actually go to photos that don't have people in them. And one reason for that is photos without people in them typically are a bit more informational because there's no people in there to distract the image. And so by looking at an interior without people, I can see all the different seating options and kind of the setting of the room and the size of the room. Versus if we were looking at the same image here on the bottom left, if it had a lot of people in it, I might not get as much information as I would without any people in it. Another opportunity to kind of make sure that you're showing off your business in the best way possible in terms of photos and content is to set your cover photo. Now, this is the first visual representation of your business that people are going to see. So make sure that you're choosing the best option for your business to set as a cover photo. And this is a great example of that for this specific location, the Seaside Grill. So make sure that you're setting your cover photo as well as your logo just for branding purposes. But make sure that that cover photo really speaks highly of your business or shows highly for your business. Okay. Now, flagging poor quality and irrelevant images for removal. You might have some photos that don't really represent your business in the best way possible. This is a great example of that. Bathroom shots are just kind of awkward unless they're done well. And this is not an example of that. It's just kind of a weird photo. It's a bit muddy in color and off kilter and just kind of awkward. And so this would be a great example of what you might want to flag for removal from your business. So in this case, I would click the flag option in that photo, and you'll get this window here that pops up. Select poor quality for this example, include your email address, and then reCAPTCHA form. Google will then take your review or your flag, review it, and decide whether or not they're going to remove that photo, or just like we saw with reviews earlier, they might just rank it lower in how those reviews or how the photos are being shown. Also, if you have some ongoing issues with a lot of images that maybe aren't even of your business that haven't been removed, and you've gone ahead and flagged them, don't forget to use the specialist link here, bit.ly/GMBGO, to then talk to a specialist. Okay, now utilizing 360s and virtual tours to attract visitors to your business. There's definitely a correlation between 360s and Google. People are becoming more and more expected to be able to look through and look around businesses when you're using Google products. And one of the ways that you can do that is to upload 360 images to your Google My Business profile. Now, they're more informational. So typically what happens is 360 images get ranked higher in your gallery and it can account for the majority of your views. So if you want to really kind of step up your exposures, one of the ways to do that is to upload 360 images to your listing. Now, once you've created 360 photos, you can also connect a virtual tour to your listing using a tool like gothrough.co, and people will then be able to do and walk through essentially a virtual tour of your business, which is just another great way to get people excited about visiting your business. All right. And you're also able to address problems like this. So if you capture 360 images, you are able to replace 360 images that are maybe currently showing. One of them for your business is probably going to be a Google Street View image. And so what happens is Google Street View will drive by. Based on the GPS information on that image, Google will assign the images to businesses. And sometimes those photos that they assign aren't the best, which we see in this example here. So our recommendation for this business owner here for the property is to flag this photo, and then don't just stop there, but also upload a bunch of high quality 360 photos to their listing. And that way those will show and not this one here. Another example is our office that we have down in Auckland, New Zealand. Our office space is actually behind the waste truck here. And this is what pulls up when you look at the 360 photos for the office. And so this just comes down to poor timing. It's also kind of comical that it's a waste truck. But what we can do is go in, flag this photo, and then upload a bunch of new photos. And those new photos should outperform this image here. And that way this image doesn't negatively impact somebody's perception of our business. And so it's actually free. If you want to go the route of shooting 360 photos, you can go free. You can spend money on a camera, and you can go pro and hire a professional in your area. So first we'll talk about the free option here. You can use either your iPhone or your Android phone and download the Google Street View app. In the past, I had a hard time recommending this because the Street View app did a really bad job of shooting and creating a 360 photo that was of high enough quality that I would then want my business associated with. But now the app has gotten really good, and therefore I have no problem recommending this. And again, this is the free opportunity or free option for you to really kind of step up your game for in terms of content for your business profile. So once you've downloaded the app, open it up. You'll want to sign into your Google account and then click the camera tool here. Select Take Photosphere, and then you'll just line up all of the dots. So the orange dot with the little white circle, and then you'll just move the phone around and shoot a bunch of photos, and then the app will stitch all of those together to create one holistic 360 photo. A little tip for that though is make sure that you're standing in one location. You're not walking around shooting the photos, and you're trying to limit how far out your arm is extending. So if you start off shooting photo here, try to do that and just kind of spin around in a full 360 to capture all the photos. And that way you can reduce the opportunities for stitching errors. You could also, if you have a little bit of a budget, you could purchase a camera that's dedicated for capturing 360 photos. And these cameras typically have no stitching issues. This one, for example, the Ricoh Theta V, you can capture 4K photos, and it's another just kind of easy way to share this type of content from your listing. And so if you want to take it to the next level, you can purchase your own camera and then upload those photos to your listing, or you can find a trusted pro in your area. So you can use this link right here, google.com/streetview/hire to find professional 360 photographers in your area that Google recognizes. And hire them. So you can contact them from their phone number or their email, and look at their portfolio first. Make sure you get an idea of what kind of gear they're using. Is it professional grade? Is it 8K, or is it their phone? And how much are they charging? Because if it's their phone and they're charging you $500, might not be worthwhile to you since the phone app is free. So make sure you do your work. But if you're looking for someone to hire, you want them to create a virtual tour for your business using a tool like GoThrough, use this link here to figure out who the pros are in your area. Okay. Now, beyond being able to create a virtual tour and uploading photos to your listing, you're also able to share those photos from your listing onto your blog or website by utilizing the free iframe link here. And so for those photos, you'll just go click on the three dots within the image, select embed a map, and then copy this code here into your website. And now those 360 images will show on your website wherever you're maybe talking about your new pool deck or whatever else is included in the photos that you've uploaded. So it's just kind of another way to get more life out of that content as well. All right. So posting content. Post is another great way to kind of share updates from your listing and expand the information about what your business is doing, how maybe you're responding to COVID-19. And these posts can also be an extension of what you're already creating for your social media channels. And so if you're already putting out posts from your Facebook page, from your Instagram, you can go ahead and just copy the same information, the same photo, and utilize Google Posts to just get more views on that type of content. So they're free. It's free to use Google Posts. There's no pay to play feature currently. They're trackable, which means Google will show you the amount of views each post has and the conversions, or how people are clicking, how many people are clicking through to your website or clicking on the buttons that you've included in a post. And they're visual, so you can include a video or a photo within the post as well. So there's quite a few different opportunities for posts, updates from your business, events, offers, products. But one of the main ones that we'd recommend using today would be the COVID-19 update, just so you can share from your business what it is that you're doing to respond to COVID-19 and sharing information about maybe safety measures or what has changed, how can people support you, and things like that. One of the things that we found during our audit process was that less than 18% of listings actively are using posts. So if you've never utilized a post in the past, don't worry, no pressure. We would just encourage you to kind of start utilizing that free tool moving forward now that you're aware of it. And like I mentioned, using it kind of as an extension of content and information you're already posting online, just really to get more views and also to show Google that you are making use of the free tool available to you. Another thing we found in regards to posts was that the median views per week is about 3,000 and the average interaction rate is about 0.4%. So that interaction rate is are people clicking through to more information. So for this example, this is a brunch post. And so if you wanted to get more people to book reservations, you would select the booking tool there. And then down here, Google will show you the amount of views, which just had almost 4,000 views and 26 people clicked through to book, which is more people than if you were not to create a post. So if you're already sharing this from Facebook, great, just copy the same information here in the same photo and create a post around that. So that will show from your Google My Business profile. Some tips here for getting the most out of Google My Business post would be to make sure you're using an attention grabbing photo. It's kind of focused on one single subject, bright colors, simple, just like you would on your Facebook or Instagram. Focus your message on the first 100 characters to try to encourage people to book or click through based on what you're writing in those first 100 characters. It's how you're going to attract them to engaging with your posts. And you can add your own tracking codes to your call to action buttons. So if you want to just gain more information about people and what they're doing, where they're coming from, you can add those tracking codes to your button there. And then some additional best practices is keep 2 posts live at a time. I would say either 1 or 2, but don't worry about having more than 2 posts live because it will reduce the viewability or the visibility of your additional posts. In the way that posts show on your listing, Google will highlight 2 and then show more, but it's not very common for people to click through to more. They're probably just going to engage with 1 or 2 of the first posts shown. So don't worry about having a ton of posts out there every week. I would try to just create 1 post a week for your business profile. and then know that they do have a maximum lifetime of 7 days, which means that you have to repost every week. So rather than your Facebook posts that live kind of on your page forever, unless you were to delete them, Google My Business posts typically will stop showing after 7 days, unless it is an event type post, which do have the best overall performance based on our directly managed profiles. So if you do run events, even online events during this time, it would be a great opportunity to get information about that event inside of your Google My Business posts. So lastly here, before we wrap up, and I think I see a couple of questions coming in to the chat box, and we'll answer those as soon as we get through this section here, but in the Insights tab. So understanding how people are finding you, how they're engaging with your business profile, and taking that information to then optimize your listing moving forward. So once you've claimed your business and then verified it, you'll then have access to insights. If you haven't verified your listing, you're not going to be able to gain information from insights. So remember to claim and verify. If you need help with getting verified, be sure to schedule an office hours appointment so I can help you get verified there. Once you have access to insights, click on that, and then you'll get an idea of how people are finding you. Are they finding you through direct searches, or are they finding you through discovery, which mean people searching for a specific category, product, or service related to your business? Branded is not very common during this time in Google, but we'll probably see that kind of change in the future. But this is essentially, those are customers who find your listing searching for a brand that's related to your business. And that might come through products if you're utilizing the product tool in GMB. You also get an idea of the total views in the last quarter or the last month for your business, and whether or not people are finding you specifically on Google Search or on Google Maps. When they're finding you, what are they doing? Are they visiting your website? Are they requesting directions? Are they calling you? So it's all critical information for you to be aware of, and so that you can kind of keep track month over month or quarter over quarter to see if those numbers are on the rise or if they're dropping off. And that might encourage you to do a couple more things based on the tips that we provided to you for maximizing your exposure for your listing. Also, these reports are available within the app. Some of the information does change. You are not going to be able to get all of the reports inside of your phone as you would within the desktop feature for GMB, but you're able to get like the crucial information, like how do people find you, total searches for the month, and more. So that brings us to our close today for maximizing exposures within your Google My Business profile. So remember to not only just listen and monitor to your reviews, but respond to them. Turn on messaging, engage with customer questions and answers on your Google listing, get it free exposure by utilizing Google My Business posts, upload images frequently, give the Street View app a try and see if you can capture some 360s to upload to your business. And then at the end of the day, make sure that you're tracking and monitoring how your business profile is performing using the insights data provided to you in GMB. Okay, so I do, before we completely wrap up here, want to remind you about the Local Marketing Academy, which is provided for free by Visit Central Florida. This is a great resource center. It was mentioned during the last call as well. But if you haven't had a chance to look at that, don't forget that it's a great spot for you to learn more and continue to learn more over the next year. You'll have access to it for the year through December 2021. And it's just a great place to learn more about digital marketing best practices for your business. And so that is available to you by Visit Central Florida. If you want help gaining access to any of that or getting your business profile claimed or anything along those lines, we recommend scheduling the office hours. That way we can assist you with your online listing channels and really make sure that you get the most out of your presence online, especially during this time as visitors are looking for more and more information about businesses. We want to make sure that you are doing everything in your power to really benefit your business and hopefully have a very successful year here. So thank you to the Visit Central Florida team. Hopefully each one of you learned something powerful to apply to your Google My Business channel. And I've enjoyed hanging out with you today. I'm going to go ahead and check out the chat box and see if there's any questions in here to go ahead and address. And then remember, you can click the link at the top of the chat box to schedule a one-on-one follow-up. So pandas are known for the engineering. That's true. So you're saying there might be a chance that a panda did build the Statue of Liberty. Who knows? I got to do some research on that. Posts, are there any gimmicks like Facebook? Good question. With posts, are there any the question here, are there any gimmicks like Facebook and Instagram to utilize for the best times to post and so on and so forth? Our recommendation is to post early in the week. And that way a post will have a week, Monday through Sunday, to fully show. But there's not necessarily a best time, like a specific time frame where more people are on Google than not. So we don't have any information specific to that. You might notice maybe it could be a couple A/B tests that you do of posting on a Sunday and posting on a Friday, or posting on a Wednesday and posting similar content, seeing what performs better, and then taking that, the findings from that, and deciding what days to post for your channel. But we don't have any like best practices for specific time frames to post. What types of images are best to post for events? True life pictures or graphics with text? I would say whatever's more attention grabbing. And I know that's kind of vague, but if it's just a graphic image that has a ton of text on it, I might totally just move on because it feels kind of salesy to me. So I would kind of stick to more traditional like marketing or photos of the event. Like you said here, true to life. But if if your graphics are creative and they are eye-catching and they're done well, you can test that as well. But I would stick to more true to life, or really try to find an image that might encourage somebody to click through over a graphic image filled with a lot of text. And then if you have any more questions, you can go ahead and ask them in the chat box. I'll leave this open for a couple more minutes here before closing down today's session. But again, thank you, Jessica, and to the Visit Central Florida team for letting us hang out with all of you today. And I hope that you have a very successful holiday season, and moving into the new year, that your business sees more visitation and more spend than years past. So hopefully by what you've learned from these different sessions, you'll be able to apply and see that be the case for your business here.
Thanks so much, Josh. We really appreciate this.
Yeah, not a problem. Happy to help. It looks like we have another question. If we're located in a small town, it would be beneficial to work with our neighbors to get them all listed with a basic GMB. Absolutely. Yeah. So that will help in terms of kind of just expanding the information for businesses within the destination, but also it'll help the visibility of those businesses. So if there's businesses that aren't on Google My Business, I recommend they create one. You can also create a listing just as a local guide. And so that can be something that you do, is just create locations for each of those businesses and then recommend that they claim them. It's kind of like a number of different ways you can go about that. But yeah, you want to make sure that there's representation. So even if you're a small town, you want to make sure that those businesses are represented so people can find them during their travels.
And Jamie, you can share the website and / Google My Business with anybody. The chambers have, Lakeland and Winter Haven chambers have sent out information about these tutorials. It's open up to anybody. We kind of joke that, I mean, car dealerships can take advantage of it too. It's just getting everyone on board. So yes, please share. Nonprofits, the cute boutiques in downtown Bartow, and if anybody has an issue, I can work with Miles to take care of verification kind of on the back end, I guess. Is that kind of the easiest way to explain that?
Yeah. So if there's a number of businesses that need help with getting verified, that's where we can step in and create a bunch of codes for those businesses. And then you can then distribute those codes, Jessica.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
So cool. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate all of your time. I'm glad to provide some helpful info for you here. And again, I wish you all tons of success for your business here in the holiday season, as well as we approach the new year. So have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we look forward to the next time we get to hang out.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.